Hi, I'm so excited to be here to hang out with you for a little bit today. Thank you so much for coming and being with me. Welcome if this is your first time here, and if you have hung out with me before, welcome back. It's great to have you. My name is Julia. I'm with Julia Sue Stamping. I'm passionate about stamping, coloring, paper crafting, making cards, and most of all, I'm passionate about sharing the fun of how to do all of that with you. I live in Northeast Ohio, and I am an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. Everything I use is Stampin' Up! And the good news is, through the month of June, Stampin' Up! Has a huge sale going on where there is 10% off of all their bundles of stamp sets with the dies. So if you were interested in getting anything like that, you would get an extra 10% when they are bundled together. It's already 10% off. They're doing an extra 10%, so it's like 20% off. I mean, it's the deal that keeps on giving. So if you had your eye on any of these things, now's your chance. And I'm actually going to be using the Thoughtful Wishes stamp set and dies bundle with these projects that I'm showing you. These projects are so awesome because it's 3 quick cards, really quick, and a box to put them in. When I make my cards, I always tend to do multiples because you've already cut the cardstock and you've got one half. May as well use the other one too. And kind of the first one is like my first child, and sometimes there are mistakes, and then the second one's a little bit better, hopefully. But sometimes there is still mistakes. So anyway, I think we should get started. How about you? It's going to be used designer series paper is the Thoughtful Journeys designer series paper. I'm going to show you a really quick grouping of them right now. I've already used some of the papers up, so I don't have all of them. You get 4 of each though, and they are beautiful watercolor looking papers, just gorgeous. Different kinds of scenes. Some of them look like little scenes like when I go for walks with our dog. This is similar to some of the things I see. And then on the back are also beautiful watercolor type of images. Just absolutely stunning. So that is the designer series paper. The stamp set for this is the Thoughtful Wishes, and the stamp set is Thoughtful Wishes, along with the coordinating dies, which is also called Thoughtful Wishes. So these are the dies. I'm using this one for one of the projects today. And let's pull it in. First, we've got a card. And I'm going to be using a Lost Lagoon card base. I have all the measurements listed on my blog. Be sure you check it out. Julia Sue's Stamping. That's my YouTube channel and my blog and my website as well. I'm so excited to have the website up. And it's all Julia Sue's Stamping. So there are 2 S's because it's Sue's with an S, and then Stamping has an S as well. So Julia Sue's Stamping with 2 S's. I have folded that Lost Lagoon paper, and I just love this color. Give me a thumbs up if you like it too. And then inside I've got a Mossy Meadow. I'm going to put a basic white on top of it. And the colors I'm using, I may slaughter this, and Noglas, they are next to each other on the color wheel. So they're not like complementary and opposite of each other, or I think it's called triadic when they are 3 points apart from each other. But it is, they're next to each other, so they go nicely. And then I have another piece of the basic white and some Mossy Meadow. I'm going to pull in a piece of grid paper, and I always cut mine in half so that it goes a little bit further for me. I'm going to take this first piece with one of the stamps from that stamp set and the Mossy Meadow ink. I'm going to create a large plant image stamped on it in the Mossy Meadow, and it's going to create a sweet textured background, kind of like a garden on paper, minus the bugs, which is always good. All right, and then I'm going to put another one right there so you can see all the plants on there. I'll just set this aside for the moment, and then I'm going to take the flower and the whole plant there with the leaves and everything with the Memento Tuxedo Black and stamp that right across. So I'm going to start in the middle and go different heights a little bit. Just stamp down nice and firmly. There, all the way across to make it look like a little field of flowers, so to speak. And then the speckle from that stamp set, and I'm going to start with the Lost Lagoon. I'm going to use the splatter or the speckle, whatever you want to call it, and put that on where the flowers are. So I'm kind of turning it a little bit every time so that the stamp set isn't, the stamp going down isn't the same on the paper every time. And I do it pretty quickly, so you may not really notice that I'm doing that. I thought I would make sure I told you. There. And now I'm going to just stamp it off a couple of times, and I can put it right into the darker color. So you can go from lighter to darker color with your ink, generally without any problem. This is going to add some extra interest, and it's very artful. And up here is a leaf as well. Last one. All right, there we go. Closing up the Memento, the Mossy Meadow for the moment, as well as the Lost Lagoon. Okay, now I'm going to layer them on top of each other, and I am going to have it be a little bit of a layer away from it, a nice wide bit of that Mossy Meadow. And on the other side, a little bit in the middle. There we go. Now I'm going to put it onto the card base. And I'm going to have about the same amount of the Lost Lagoon showing on either side there. So I've kind of evenly placed it on there. The last thing is the sentiment, and I'm going to use Thinking of You Fondly with the Mossy Meadow. And I'm going to test it out really quickly here to be sure I'm okay with how straight it is. Yes, that's pretty good. All right, I'm gonna lay it down, go down and up. Perfect. All right, so this truly is a stamps, ink, and paper card. All I have on it are stamps, ink, and paper. If you want, you can further embellish it with some embellishments of a ribbon or something along those lines. I really like this just the way it is. I think it's going to mail very nicely, and it looks very pretty. So set that one aside. A Misty Moonlight base, and this color alone could make any card look so dreamy. I'm going to use my bone folder and get that nicely folded and ready to go. Inside, again, I've got a layer of basic black with white. So I'll go ahead and put that inside the card. again, I will have all the measurements and all of the items used listed on my blog, on my new website. So I'm so excited to be using. And these cards that I'm making are going to be a special treat just for you. Now this is the same exact measurements as what I used on this card. I've got a bit of the designer series paper though this time, and black. And what I want to do is I'm going to put it on so that the designer series paper is framed in the black, just a tiny bit on the right side with more of it on the left. Then I will adhere that to the front of this card. See how quickly these cards come together? Very, very easy, but they look beautiful. Nice. All right. And then I'm going to put some adhesive on the back of this black piece, putting it onto the card. And eyeball it to be around the middle. There we go. I would like to use the die that I had mentioned before, and you run it through the cut and emboss machine, which is also 10% off this month, with a piece of the basic black. And I did that. Through the magic of video, I have a piece that has already been done, and I'm going to put a little bit of the liquid adhesive on it. Not too much. I want some of it to be lifting up a little so that it has a little bit of dimension and movement to the card. And I'm putting it on some of the bigger black spots here. You may ask, well, Julia, you love the adhesive sheets. Why didn't you use an adhesive sheet for this? Because this is so thin, I really didn't want to use an entire adhesive sheet for something that was so slim, and then I would really have to figure out something else to do with it so that I would use it all up. Just a tiny little bit right here where that little piece of black goes. There we go. All right, that's it. And I'll set that aside. Now I've got a little scrap of white and a little scrap of black. I'm going to stamp the thanks in the Memento Tuxedo Black ink on my scrap of white. And then I'm going to use the paper snips and cut it at a little bit of an angle. And that gives it a nice chic look. Then I'm going to frame it with this bit of black that I have. But I'm going to cut this just a tiny bit more here. There, that works pretty well. Okay, and the adhesive on the back with my seal. And now I'm going to place it right down on the black. Cut the black to frame it. Excellent. Now I'm going to lift it up with some dimensionals. Placing it right on top of that pretty die cut piece. And then I'm going to finish it off with some adhesive backed glimmer, I think they're called glimmer, adhesive backed sparkle gems. All right, so I love these because they actually come in a black. So that's super cool. That looks really great with this project. Oh, let's see, where do I want this one to be? I think I'd like it up here. And then this one I'm going to have over here. All right, Project number 2 complete. All right, so now we have one done and a second one done. Let's go ahead and move on to the third card and the last card. This is how it will look. I am going to grab a piece of the Cajun Craze. And again, I have something to put inside of it. I'm going to fold it. And then we've got Calypso Coral with a basic white. I can put the snips away. I love the Cajun Craze. It just screams warmth and coziness. Absolutely beautiful. Putting this inside. And now we are taking the Designer Series paper and we are layering it onto top of the card. I'm going to this time, these are the same measurements as the other two cards with these two, but I'm going to put it right in the middle this time. So it's the same thing, but looks different, and you could use either side of the Designer Series paper that you want. Kind of eyeballing it to get it somewhat in the center, as much as I can anyway. That's pretty good. Now I'm going to adhere it to the top of the card. Kind of in the middle on the top. There we go. All right, I am taking a piece of scrap paper as well as the sentiment of "You Make Life Better" with Cajun Craze ink. I'll get it the right way. And right into the middle of the paper of my scrap, stamp that sentiment. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use one of the everyday dies. It's the next to smallest circle, and cut that out. So here we go. It's got these awesome circles and the dots right through the sides. That's pretty cool. And then I've got some pieces of the diagonal trim in petal pink and white for just a little bit of fun. So I'm going to use the glue dots with my Take Your Pick tool, lifting off a glue dot and putting it where I want to put the ribbon, and then I'll get another one out and put it where I want to have the other ribbon, kind of crossing. I didn't do a very good job with that, and because it's stuck on my finger. How in the world did that happen? Get off my finger. And onto the paper. Silly glue dot. And, I want them to go the same direction, so I'm going to turn that around. All right, that works. And I've got my ribbon scissors here, so I'm going to cut this ribbon just a little. And another way I'm going to make sure it stays where I want it to stay is I'm going to straddle the sentiment right over those two. So I'm going to grab my dimensionals, put some at the top, put one down at the bottom, take off the backing, and have it straddle right over that ribbon. So we're going to move that just a little bit further over, and now have it straddle. Excellent. Now those sparkle gems are super cool because there's a gold color, and the gold color goes very, very nicely with this. I just love the gold with this. So if I can pick one up with my putty end, and another one, a large one over here, I think would be perfect. All right, excellent. So in that period of time, 3 cards completely done. Oops, put the lid on here before I put it away. Now, decorating the envelopes is super easy. Just taking that same plant stamp that I had done before in the Mossy Meadow and put the stamp right down at the bottom of the envelope so that now there are matching envelopes with the cards. And I'll show you the box really quickly. We've got the box. I can do it in a Misty Meadow, what's this called? Misty Moonlight, or excuse me, a Mossy Meadow here. I have done this box before, and I'll just show you super quickly again because I have everything right here ready to go. I've got the base in a thick white, basic white cardstock. And I scored all the sides to be 1 inch in. And then I did the same thing. It's the same size with a Blackberry Bliss. And I did the same thing with that, only I had it just a smidgen in from the 1 inch. So it's not even quite 15/16 of an inch in to score all around the sides of that. Here's a diagram I drew. Maybe that would help. So you've got the bottom or the top of the box, and then it's scored on all 4 sides. And then we're going to miter the corners so that it folds very nicely. So I can see the corners now because I used the bone folder and got them nice and tight. I'm going to cut in and then cut the bottom of the box like that. Again, I'm going to miter this end, cut it up. Miter. And again. All right. So adhesive is put on these ends here. Then the box gets folded up so that it's nice and even. You can just see the ends. Fold it up. Last one. Excellent. So that would be the top of the box, which I'm going to further decorate just like you would a card front. So I've got some of this beautiful designer series paper. I'm going to frame it with some fresh freesia, which further gets framed with a piece of the basic white to really help all this stand out from the box top. You could adhere it with some dimensionals at this point, use ribbon on it, whatever you'd like, some twine, that's up to you. Doesn't that look outstanding with the Blackberry Bliss? It's just so pretty. And then I did the exact same thing with the bottom of the box, adhering it, mitering it, and putting it together. And then you have your box just like that. How cool is that? So for every $50 order in the month of June that's placed for my online store, you would get envelopes and you would get all the card guts, the cut items that you would need to make these 3 cards, as well as a box for putting them in. And hopefully you would see how easy this is. This is upside down. You would see how easy this is, so perhaps you make some more on your own with your own stamps. I'm not going to have any stamps to give you, but all the cut items would be there. So the card guts and the cut items would all be there for you, and then you embellish it however you want. So It's a great deal, and that is for every $50 order that is placed. And so excited to do that. It's my way of spreading the crafting love. I hope you had as much fun as I did today. So don't forget to take advantage of that 10% off on the Stampin' Up! Bundles this month. It's like a crafting dream come true. And if you enjoyed the video, please be sure you give it a thumbs up. I appreciate your support, and it means so much to me. Thank you for hanging out with me for a little bit today. I hope you keep on enjoying the crafting adventures and that you get inky today. Bye-bye.